Welcome back to Studio 7. Focusing on a prescription for a healthier life is a broad goal. Part of it means getting organized. Part of it is having an accurate picture of your physical health. And a big part of it is a healthy mental attitude. Today we're getting real with Jessica Phillips. And boy, have we tapped into a subject that really hits home. We're talking about the self-talk that we use every day. It can have a huge impact on us.
Huge impact. It's those things that we tell ourselves that I'm always, or I'm never, or it's just the way it is and I'm stuck.
We label ourselves.
We absolutely label ourselves, and we give ourselves cheap labels. We don't even give ourselves good labels.
We don't say I'm fabulous. We say I'm always late, or
That's
I'm
right.
always chubby.
Yes, I'm a mess. And so we just take ourselves into a place of captivity whenever we let those labels define who we are. And so scripture is real clear. It says, be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And that sounds so beautiful, but it's not easy. That's difficult. And so how do we do that? And scripture says that we need to take captive our thoughts. And I think that's so brilliant, because if we don't take our thoughts captive, then they take us captive and make us their prisoners. And last week I talked about Lisa Turkhurst, who's the president of Proverbs 31 Ministries. And Lisa says that some prisons don't require bars to keep people locked inside. All it takes is their perception that they belong there. A soul who believes she can't leave doesn't. Does that not just hit you between the eyes?
It's powerful. It is.
It is.
And when I hear you talk about this, I think if I heard my child with this negative self-talk, I would nip it in the bud immediately.
I know.
But when we do it, whether it's quietly just to ourselves, or even when we say it out loud, we allow it for ourselves.
We sure do. And that's exactly right. We've got to correct ourselves, because we don't want to be hypocrites. We don't want to tell our daughters and our sons to, believe in yourself and don't call yourself that. And then where are they learning it? Right here.
From mom and dad.
From mom and dad.
You have some tips for us, and the first one is to identify the label as a lie meant to tear us down.
Absolutely. When we define ourselves with a label, like, for example, I'm a mess, there is some truth in what we're saying, but we got to get to the root of the truth. The truth is, my closet's a mess, not I'm a mess. And so when we identify, okay, my closet's a mess, and that's making my life feel like I'm a mess, what do we do? Step 2, that label should drive us into action. So when we recognize, okay, I'm not a mess, my closet is, if I can get my closet organized, that will tear down that label.
Yeah.
And so when we move into that step, that action step, we may need some help. I'm not great at organizing, so if I'm...
Well, we just saw Shelby, so we know how to get help.
That's right. We can call Shelby for help. My husband is an excellent organizer, so we call him, or your best friend. And so you have to just take charge of that. It's no one else's responsibility to set us free from those labels. We've got to do that ourselves. But we can ask people to help us along the way.
Well, I had an example of this in my life this week. My self-label is I'm not very assertive, or sometimes I'm not forthcoming.
Right. When we begin tearing down one label, it gives us the fuel and the energy, step number 3, to tear down the next label, and then tear down the next. Because once we get a little self-confidence, okay, I can be assertive and I can do it in the right way and in the right spirit, then we can go, okay, what's the next label? Okay, I'm chubby. Well, maybe that's not true. Maybe we've just been not on a good health kick lately, so we're going to tackle that.
Today we are getting rid of the cheap talk. We're done with it. We don't need it.
Done with the cheap labels, y'all.
Jessica, we could talk about this for hours, and I'm sure it will come up again, but thank you for getting us on the right track.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.